Hi, Tim Shields, Zaya America. So I just saw Rise of the Beasts. I'm a big Transformers fan. I fell out of it for a while because I wasn't into the Bayverse movies. It's cool if you were. I don't care. And I sort of recently got back into it. Go figure. A Zero One channel, a Zaya channel specifically, getting back into small robots that I loved as a child. The irony is not lost on me. I'm working on a stop motion Transformers Zero One crossover series. That's going to be. I'm working on a teaser this month, so that should be out soonish. I like Transformers, and I've been researching the hell out of Transformers, and I was very excited to get back into it right in time to go see this, so I did. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. Short, spoiler-free review. I think if you're not in Transformers, this isn't going to sell you on it. There's a lot of stuff going on. There are points in the movie where I was like, oh my god. So we just went on this big chase just to go on to another big chase that's completely unrelated. It has a very silly plot. It's people going after a MacGuffin. It's a bit National Treasure. But I had a lot of fun with it. And the plot is more in service of characters this time around, which is great. That's what we were seeing in Bumblebee, and I thought that was a great step forward. If you're coming for Nightbird, you're going to be disappointed because that's not her, but the action's really great. I think that these are probably the best fights in the movie series. I really enjoy the cast. I think overall this is the best cast, both as characters and as a cast. Everybody worked really well together and gave their characters a lot of personality. I think obvious standouts are Mirage, Pete Davidson, really great work, instantly likable and never really unlikable. I want the figure. I've seen the prototypes of the figure, so I don't know that I actually want the figure, but it makes me want the idealized version of the figure that I'm thinking about. And then the other obvious huge standout, as usual, Optimus Prime, my father himself. You can really feel Peter Cullen's enthusiasm for this film and this material specifically. I know that he's gone on record as not liking some of the material in the Michael Bay movies, and I can understand why. I mean, it's not the cowboy, soft hero archetype that, he was intending Optimus as a character to be, and what won him the role and everything. We've all seen the story. They used it to promote the fucking movie. And I think that that's a really smart idea. That really put everybody on the right page and in the right headspace, I think, for his journey in this film. And it's really good. I think that it approaches a lot of the concepts of the IDW comic in a way that I prefer a lot more. I'm not a fan of making the Decepticons a muddled gray area. I think that they should just be robot fascists, but that's irrelevant. And it's not something I get hung up over. There's plenty of Transformers. I like G1. That was a Russia metaphor. Who gives a fuck? Whatever. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And if you're looking for a fun blockbuster, then I would hugely recommend this. I mean, you have your plate full right now, but just eat the whole plate, right? With that out of the way, we're going to be talking spoilers right after the title card. So let's talk about capitalism, let's talk about the American healthcare system, and let's talk about one fucking big monkey. This is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. The movie opens on Unicron. It's an homage to the 1986 opening where it destroys Kranix planet or whatever. I love Transformers 86. It was really sick seeing this in real life. Like, oh, it was very nice. It looks great. They're leaning more into that G1 sort of stylized Bayverse that we saw in Bumblebee, which I love. I appreciate. Aesthetically, this movie looks incredible. I like Beast Wars as a show, but I always preferred Beast Machines aesthetically because I was like, well, I mean, nobody's buying that fucking this guy is a cheetah, right? Like, you look into those cold, dead eyes and tell me that's a robot in disguise, right? It's not a good one, is all I'm saying. Whereas the Maximals in this movie, I think, are just that perfect synthesis of Cybertronian and, like, the paneling and everything and organic. And I think that lends itself to a much more believable and sort of thematic look to them. And I am into that, and I really want a fucking Primal figure. I'm actually... I'm at Walmart right now, and they don't have any, and I am mad about that, okay? I'm upset. I want to have you, Voyager Primal. I have this one, but it's not enough, okay? It establishes a lot of lore through action and the conflict, like in Bumblebee, which I thought was really great. Like, right off the bat, you get a lot of sense of these characters' personalities just from the way that they move and interact with each other and the world, and, like, that's always fantastic. It's a visual medium, show don't tell. That's what they always say. Again, it just feels like a natural extension of the steps in the proper direction that we got with Bumblebee, which, again, I loved. That's a great movie. Haley Stanfield from True Grit, which we've talked about on the channel before. It's good, but I think the cast in this one just steps it up a little bit more. There's a bit where Scourge is stalking Ape Link through the forest at the beginning, and he's all obscured, and it leads into this, like, grand reveal of him, and I thought that was really great. I think Scourge looks fantastic. This is the one, like, boss Decepticon that I think actually looks really fucking good from the Bay Designs. I really like how uncanny and stylized he is, but he still feels like he could be like a perverse sort of G1 sort of derivative Bayverse spin-off Bumblebee universe Transformer. You get it. I really like all of the rust. The idea of his rust as corruption is really neat. I'll come back to that later, though. But his first appearance I thought was very cool. I really like his voice actor. I should look up who it is. I thought they did a great job capturing the sort of Galvatron vibes that they're sort of going for in this. Like, he's Galvatron in this movie. It's fine. This movie echoes a lot of 1986. I've said that before, but, like, it doesn't imitate it. It takes the spirit of scenes and replicates that in this new context. And I think that that's really cool, really interesting. The director, I think Steve Caple Jr., I think, he did Creed 2, which I just watched. I was actually just doing an entire Rocky marathon unrelated to this. And it's funny how many parallels there are. But he did Creed 2, and I think he just has such an interesting style and, like, grasp on everything that I like about the material, and that's very good. He's good boy. He did a good job. I like that the movie very naturally communicates the systems that we're going to be working with in this movie. Unicron itself just sort of looms over everything. You feel its presence through Galvatron. Galvatron, not Galvatron, Scourge as Galvatron. You really just feel like the ripples through this, like, multiverse or whatever. Like, it does have this sort of godlike omnipresence, and I think that that's really wonderful. They, they keep bringing him back and having Scourge communicate with him and stuff, and in the same way that they did with Galvatron, and it just works. Everything that worked about Unicron in '86 works in this one, and that's fantastic because Unicron in '86 is like peak Transformers villain, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I beg of you. And it establishes very early this sort of sense of hierarchy that we're going to be seeing like over and over and over throughout the movie, whether it's Optimus's burden as the leader, whether it's Bumblebee's burden as the sacrificial pawn, as a soldier unit, whether it's Noah's sacrifice of turning to thievery in order to support his younger brother's sickle cell anemia, which he's behind on payments for because the American health system is fucked and he can't get a job because capitalism is fucked and it's the 90s and fucking the bubble's about to burst and fucking this movie really fucking hates capitalism, and I think that that's very cool. There's a lot of leftist rhetoric in this, like actually, and like Mirage literally flips off a cop and then tricks that cop into driving head first into a fucking concrete pylon, so like that dude's fucking dead and he just did that shit for fun, and that's so cool. I want this figure. But it brings up this idea that keeps coming up throughout the movie. It's this individualism versus systemic assimilation, where Noah and Optimus are both sort of xenophobic towards each other, and it creates a lot of dissonance between them, where it's driving Optimus to be more like Scourge or more like Megatron, and I think that that's a really cool approach to the whole autocracy thing, from the comics, from the IDW comics, which I think is a pretty good run. I think it raises interesting questions more than the material itself I enjoy, whereas with this, I really enjoy the material and it raises some really good questions, and I love that. I cannot wait to fucking buy this movie. Oh my god. They literally call capitalism a vampire in this movie. It just straight up is a thesis statement of the film, and it just goes, bwamp, whoop, there it is, because it's the 90s, you see, kids. And I wasn't prepared. But I was very receptive. I'm all about that shit. You're probably familiar. Shin Kamen Rider review. Check that out. Either before or after this one drops. I don't know. I watched them like 2 days apart. Okay, like it's not my fault. They keep releasing them. Movies that I'm interested in. But the point is, it's very overtly a leftist film, and I think that that's incredible because I think that the last time that I've ever felt this politically represented in a big summer blockbuster movie would be chronologically G.I. Joe 2, which I watched very recently and will probably do a video on because I was blown away by it. But, I mean, that's like a decade ago now, right? Like, and ironically, factors into the movie, but we'll get to that later. There's a subplot towards the beginning of the lead human woman's role. Eustace, that's the Courage the Cowardly Dog guy. Where her white lady boss is capitalizing off of her labor and obviously other cultures because she runs a museum. And she's like using her to undercut other people's auctions and like do all of her research and then take credit for it and stuff. It's very interesting, and it goes unspoken. It's just this thing that happens. It's just this constant suite of microaggressions in this woman's life, and it's so mature for a Transformers movie. Like this is just adult racial drama. And, like, it works. It doesn't browbeat you with it. It doesn't spoon feed it to you. It just lets you live in this woman's shoes and experience the prejudice that she faces at work and can't really do anything about. And I think that's really cool. Especially from the franchise that gave us fucking Carbomia, which fucking Casey Kasem left the show over. Like, it's nice. It's nice seeing them step forward like that. So our lead dude, Noah, he goes to a job interview with some sort of army position, military position rather, not army, after the sickle cell appointment bounces him because he's behind on his payments, so his brother can't get fucking treatment for, like, ongoing pain. And the dude turns him down because apparently he doesn't know enough how to work as a team, which we know in the military means that he hasn't sacrificed his individuality, which brings up this really interesting narrative conflict that exists all throughout the movie, where it doesn't quite ever land on the merit of the individual being the positive or the merit of assimilation being the positive, because ultimately it kind of has to be both. You have to put aside your ego in order to compromise, in order for everybody to benefit. And it really hammers on that point all throughout. And I thought that was so fucking cool. This part where he's apologizing to his little brother for not being able to get him medical attention, and he's like, I'm sorry, and the kid's like, it's alright, and he's like, no, it's not, none of this is. Like, he's genuinely frustrated at the system, and like, I know that that's a conscious decision because I'm familiar with the director's other work, and that's incredible, because otherwise, I'm looking at Michael Bay, and I'm like, well... I mean, he likes explosions. He's very enthusiastic. I love Michael Bay. I think he's a really fun dude. I think he has great energy. I love Bayos. Like, he's so cute. But, Stephen Caple I fuck with. You know what I mean? Go ahead and Google him and make sure that's actually his name. Stephen Caple Jr. Yeah! Alright, I'm good at my job. Actually, let's check out Rise of the Beasts Eunice. How about that? Nope. Looks like no. Elena? Oh, I was way off. Oh, I just had a flood of memories of them just shouting that name over and over and over throughout the movie. Fuck. Oh, that's embarrassing. Okay, there is this incredible speech from Noah's friend that he turns to start carjacking in order to make ends meet, because America discards its veterans. He's a retired... He's ex-military, and he cannot afford to survive. And that in and of itself is a really interesting statement for especially the Transformers movies, which have been incredibly pro-military to the point of, outright serving as propaganda at times. But he goes on this big rant, his buddy, about how they're doing holistic carjacking because it's solving for the elite to have their cars stolen. He says that they're doing the wealthy a favor, and highlights, false charities and the sense that people are doing this for tax write-offs and relief rather than outright wanting to help people. And it's a whole scene. It's a whole big rant, and it's played kind of funny, but like none of the points are wrong. And like nobody raises objections to any of them or anything. Like the narrative isn't making him out to be wrong. In fact, the narrative goes full in on him being effectively right. It's just such a fun little exchange, and like it's an exchange that doesn't make me dry heave. And then I put the Romeo and Juliet thing there. You get it. I like that both of our leads, as a matter of fact, make the conscious decision that they need to steal in order to accomplish good things in the world. Whether it's carjacking in order to pay for the medical bills of another person, or stealing an artifact in order to discover the actual origins of it and advance cultural understanding. And like they do this in service of advancing out of their culturally assigned roles, you know, like systemically they've been assigned underling positions in the world, and they say, you know what, fuck that, I'm not lesser than XYZ white lady, or actually they're both white ladies. Yeah, the doctor is a white lady, and then also her boss is a white lady. Oh, there goes... Oh, please tell me. Okay, great. Thought the fucking car just died. Okay, I'm just gonna leave that on. Anyway, yeah, no, so it's both cases, it's white women abusing their position of privilege in order to systemically oppress people of color, and I think that that's a really, really cool, subtle communication of how systems of classist hierarchy work, at the very least in America. And ultimately both of our leads reject that, is the point that I'm making. Tim, please edit that into a coherent thought, okay? Thanks, bud. His buddy says it isn't theft because it's from the elite, it's from corporates. It's liberation, which is actual leftist rhetoric. You can't steal from a corporation. It's called liberation. It's called reclamation. There's a bunch of different spins on the meme, but it's literal, actual socialist rhetoric, and that's so wild to see in a movie based off of a Reagan-era cartoon about the Cold War and how communists were fascists. Like, oh, I love this. Oh, I love this movie. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, right? Like, in the moment, there are bits where it drags. I'm not gonna say there aren't. Again, like, the main actual connective tissue of the plot is literally just, here's plot point A to point B to point C, let's go collect them all, and then they don't lead anywhere except character conflict. But, like, that's what I love. That's why I love Kamen Rider so much, is it because it focuses on the characters and the transformations they go through, and that's this fucking movie for Transformers. It's like Transformers 1986, where we watch Hot Rod go through the whole... here, watch my AMV. I mean... Stan Bush understood Hot Rod, okay? He read the assignment and he fucking aced it. Noah befriends the Autobots, except for Optimus, who is going through a big xenophobia phase right now because he's shouldering the burden of being the leader of a bunch of revolutionary refugees, and the idea that there is literally just this overwhelming system that is threatening to devour everything that they are and stand for. You know, it's really interesting, and it's understandable. It's relatable shit. And I think that that's really cool. But then Noah goes on this really fucking fun Hitman-ass infiltration sequence through this kitchen, and that's just really, really, like, it's campy and it's silly, but, like, it's so fun. It's probably just because I like Hitman so much. I'm not gonna lie. It reminds me a lot of this one kitchen. But God, we are 3 for 3 on good Hitman movies now. This movie, speaking of Unicron, this movie has really pretty sky lasers. I've seen a lot of sky lasers in my my Western Cape shit blockbuster marathon days, and I think that the sort of Borealis and multiverse and sky laser effects in this movie are just gorgeous compared to a lot of what we're used to. There's a bit where Mirage transforms in order to turn around Noah during a chase that I thought was really fun. Like, there's nothing particularly special or unique about it. It just made me feel really happy, so I thought I would bring it up. This movie did not like cops. Pete Davidson says, all my life, people have been telling me Mirage Big is just a movie, which... It is, man. What are you talking about?
I don't get it.
Mirage just overall is just a treat. Almost consistently throughout the movie. There are a couple of times where he goes into sort of like cringy joke territory, but like it's whatever, you know. Like I'm 01 page, baby. I've seen Aruto's repertoire. All right, you're not gonna break me. I fell in love with it. I don't really give a fuck one way or the other about Pete Davidson. I don't think I've ever actually seen him in anything. Except for like that Taco Bell commercial that would come up on YouTube, right?
Sometimes we go too far. I have, and that's why Taco Bell has hired me to make an apology for them. Go ahead, say sorry.
Huh? And that was unskippable, so that's not on me. But like, wow, what a performance. Like, he's genuinely really fucking funny a lot of the time in this movie. And like, he sells it when he's not being funny. Like, when he needs to be serious, it's touching at times. I liked him a lot, and that's really weird because Mirage is a character that I have forever just written off as being like one of the most boring G1, like just generic filler extra Autobots. We need to sell more guys, you know? But like, fuck, they did it. They sold me the guy. Noah being an abandoned war vet that's just cast aside entirely with like no support net from the government, I think, again, goes to reinforce the idea that this movie is about capitalism pushing people into roles and how people benefit from people under them in those roles, whether that's financially or physically by exploiting their labor, like we see with the museum lady, with Elena. And, like, I love that because the Autobots in G1 and the Decepticons were both slaves that were created by the Quintessence in order to literally be exploited. So it's a very natural extension of that Unicron and Quintesson lore, which is my personal favorite take. They mentioned Primus in this, which I'm not thrilled about, but that's next movie, so who cares? That's not going to affect this one. I'm just rambling at this point. I like it. I like it a lot. It's very interesting to me, the parallels that it draws between Noah and Elena and Unicron and the Transformers, and the idea of being built by a society for the sake of carrying out... Oh, god damn it. For the sake of carrying out a specifically... like corporate assigned, capitalist assigned role. It's fucking Humagears. God damn it, no wonder I liked it so much. Ah, fuck you! I'm never gonna escape this show. Peter Cullen turns in his most passionate performance, I think, in his entire career as Optimus Prime. There was this really charming video. I'll see if I can dig it up. I can't guarantee I will, but there was this really charming video of the entire cast, and everybody's, you know, looking very, you know, sophisticated. They're posing for the camera, and then it just pans over to Peter Cullen, and he's just fucking beaming his face off, grinning ear to ear. He's clearly having the time of his fucking life in, like, every aspect of this production. And, like, good for him, man. Good for you, Dad. Like, you deserve that shit, my guy. Like, it brings a tear to my eye. He's so fucking nice, you know? And, like, again, we know that he was upset with the way that Optimus was portrayed in a bunch of the movies. So, like, it's really nice knowing he'll be going out soon that he got to do this, you know? And, like, I genuinely think this is one of the best portrayals of Optimus Prime, like, across all media. I think that the journey that he goes through in this movie is really great and really relatable, and, like, God, he just kills it the entire time. There's just so much, not only emotion, but enthusiasm for the role, you know? Like, you can feel him erupting out of the voice booth. It's just magnificent. Like, he did such a good job. And I'm just really happy that he seems so happy with the material. He deserves it. The Autobots use Noah to steal the transwarp key, which is the MacGuffin of the movie that they're chasing, from the museum that Elena works in, which, again, this is where it becomes complicated. It's really interesting because it's the movie using our protagonists, our buddies. Mirage himself, the bestie boy of the film. You know, he's our Bumblebee in this movie, to endorse stealing for good, to level out this systemic displacement caused by Unicron and Scourge and the Terrorcons, right? And like, that's really interesting because simultaneously the Autobots are exploiting their relationship with Noah in order to get him to do this labor for them physically for free, because it'll cause less trouble for them. You know, like, it won't alert the Terrorcons to their position. And it's like, that's a genuine conflict, you know, like, ideologically, but like within itself. And like, that first off challenges me, because it's like, well, are they good guys for blackmailing him into doing good? Do the ends justify the means? But simultaneously, they're operating on the same level as him, you know? As he was just trying to operate in order to survive with his carjacking. And like, it's this sort of interesting idea that capitalism forces the lower class to exploit each other as well. That's why we see, you know, people forced to rob each other in the streets. You know, like, lower income areas, we see skyrocketing, like, crime rates, because people are forced to exploit each other in order to survive, even if it's just day to day, because capitalism creates this sort of artificial scarcity of resources by hoarding, and you know, then there's not enough to go around for everybody else. They ate the whole plate.
I ate the whole plate. The whole plate.
Oh my god. Okay, so there's this really great Easter egg where Elena's looking over this report about the statue that they found, and the doctors are named after Takara Tomy, and I was like, fuck, they beat me to it by this much, because I'm doing the exact same thing in my fucking show. You'll see what I mean once episode 2 comes out. But yeah, no, I thought that was really cute. I loved that. We talked about Optimus and his guilt, the refugee revolution that he's leading through the sacrifice of his units like Bumblebee, the exploitation of labor, seeing Noah, see Bumblebee slowly becoming Megatron and his xenophobia. Yeah, we talked about that. Okay. The movie makes fun of Bumblebee talking in quotes. There's a good joke about movie theaters that I really enjoyed, especially after seeing that self-satisfied Cinemark shit before Shin Kamen Rider the other day. It was cute. I don't like Bumblebee not talking, and it's very frustrating to me that Bumblebee is the mute character in this when Nightbird's in it, given that she's mute. But no, she's not. She chats up a little storm in this film, and I don't like that. That is weirdly my major point of criticism for this movie, is that Nightbird is Shatter, and Nightbird's like, it's Nightbird and Hot Rod for me. You know, those are my faves. Like, Ultra Magnus is up there too, but Nightbird and Hot Rod, like, you don't fuck with those. And they've now fucked with both of those, okay? So don't you touch Ultra Magnus until you're fucking ready to do it right, alright? And he better have his goddamn sunglasses on when you do it. I do, however, appreciate that Nightbird can fly in this one. I think that that's something that's been a long time coming. Her name is literally fucking Nightbird. She's a Decepticon in so many canon, and those are known for being able to fly. Even the ones that don't have wings or fucking jets or whatever. Fucking Megatron just shoots around on his boots. Fucking Shockwave rides Starscream. Personally, I think that Nightbird's alt mode should be a ninja kite. I think that that would be cool. I think that that would be thematically appropriate, but still campily 80s, you know? I don't know. You know, I'm not a toy designer, but you should take this and make it for me because I'm right, Hasbro. But only for me, okay? You make one, and you send it directly to me, and then I eat it. This is the first time in live action that I've ever felt chills watching Autobots transform and roll out. And it happened a couple of times throughout the movie, and that's because they earned it by making me give a shit about both the human characters and the Autobots in the conflict. Because then I'm worried about the human characters not doing so great, and I'm worried about the Autobots not doing so great. Especially when they raised the stakes pretty well early on with the whole Bumblebee fake out. I think that that's conceptually a good idea that was unfortunately spoiled for basically everybody invested in this movie by them outright telling us that they were going to fake a Bumblebee death on the back of one of the toy boxes that came out like 2 months ago. So I mean, A for effort, right? That's not on the movie's fault, that's Hasbro. And again, it echoes so many points from 86. You know, Bumblebee's death in here is very reminiscent of when Galvatron kills Ultra Magnus, and then he comes back to life in Transformers 86. Albeit, I prefer the way that Ultra Magnus comes back in 86. If you've seen the H-Bomber guy video on Transformers 86, you'll probably understand why. I think the idea of Community yielding that rather than it being they put him on an Energon rock to charge for a while. I think that's a bit more poignant in the original, but I did really like the visual in that scene, though, of Bumblebee on the rock getting charged up. I thought that was a really pretty shot. So, like, even when it's not quite living up to the stuff that it's homaging, it's doing enough of its own thing that I think that it's justified in existing anyway. Like, this movie doesn't ever feel redundant, despite sharing so much in the connections to 86. And that's really impressive to me. You know, it's like Resident Evil 4 remaster in a lot of ways. There are some aspects where I don't think it quite measures up to the original, but in many ways it surpasses it. So, like, you can just have both, dog. You can have your cake and you can eat it too. His kid brother, Noah's kid brother, has trouble playing games. He's carrying around a Game Boy at the start, and he's like, oh, I can't beat Bowser. And then, like, they keep repeating that idea of, like, I can't beat it. Yeah, you can, you know, in regards to his disease. And then that ends up coming back around later on when Noah's in a pinch, and the kid has to be like, you know, like, hey, I have to assume power now. You know, we're a team, you and I. And that's the Rosetta Stone for Noah and Optimus realizing they can work together and shit. And, like, it just all works really fucking well. It flows, you know? It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme. Mm-hmm. Every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
It was just, like, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing new. But, like, it's a kid's movie that works well enough that it resonates with me as an adult. You know, it breaks through cynicism. But, like, not in a cynical way. It's just utterly sincere. It loves that it's Transformers. And I love that. My ideal Transformers is Archie during wartime, right?
What's the matter, Chip?
I guess I was hoping Devastator might join the Autobots for good, but that's probably just a dumb old dream.
Hang on to your dreams, Chip. The future is built on dreams. Hang on.
And this, I think, and Bumblebee really fucking nail that feeling for me. And if you're not into that, that's cool. You do you. I mean, I can understand the appeal of the Bayformers movies. I can understand the appeal of Prime, which I'm also not as big a fan of. I like both of the Robots in Disguise series. Don't fucking listen to me. What are you doing with your life? Why are you watching this? So it all sort of comes to a head when they meet the Maximals, and Airazor becomes corrupted by Scourge, which I think is really cool, and I'll talk about more in a little bit. And Noah at times trying to sell out both parties in order to preserve either his family or Earth. You know, like there's this part where he's considering destroying the transwarp key, which will strand the Autobots. You don't give a shit. It's lore. It'll strand the Autobots and, cut them off from their home. You know, they'll effectively be refugees forever. Same with the Maximals, who may or may not, are they from Cybertron? I don't know. I don't know Beast Wars lore nearly as well. Okay, I'm a G1 guy, but like not dedicated G1. Okay, I just like Transformers. Honestly, mostly I just make up my own stories for them. But you don't care. You're here to watch me talk about a movie. But I think it's all really interesting because it's all put into perspective by this threat of this looming hierarchical system. You know, in this case, they've literally said capitalism is a vampire in this movie. Unicron is capitalism. That's what's looming over everybody, is Noah's worry that he can't afford his kid brother's treatments. Optimus's worry that the Autobots have lost all of their resources and their home, because those are things that have been taken from them by the elites, by Unicron, by the Terrorcons. Same with Optimus Primal, although he's more into the idea that, like, it's the relationships themselves that are important. You know, it's very Thor 3. Asgard isn't a place, it's a people. You know what I mean? And I think that's all cool because it reminds me of fucking The Giant Psychic Squid and Watchmen by Alan Moore, the comic, obviously, not the Zack Snyder movie, because this is the part that they changed in that. So don't get mad at me, okay? It's not like I'm saying Zack Snyder's bad or anything. I'm just saying, literally, this is the one plot point from the comic book that he changed, so the movie's not relevant. It's okay. But it's that idea that in the face of this looming existential threat that's beyond humanity, humanity will realize that all of its infighting, all of its petty squabbles that are caused by the idea of systems will be eradicated, because what's the fucking point of systems when we're ants? You know, like, we're a communal hive mind at that point. We have to be in order to survive. I don't know, like, so much of this movie just reminds me of when I was a kid and I watched Transformers 1986. And, like, Optimus died, and I was like, oh, that's gonna happen to me one day, huh? Oh, fuck. But then Hot Rod was like, not today, you know?
Come out, Autobot! We all must die sometime.
Not today, Galvatron!
And he fucking does a flip. Like, it makes me feel like a kid. I feel like I'm 12 years old. I'm out here fucking shopping for Transformers right now, okay? This one's Shrapnel, and he's wonderful, and I'm going to use him for Guy Henshin sequences with Rhinox. He's a Kuwagata. He's a stag beetle boy, and I like him. I got Kickback for Rising Hopper. I got Cheetor. I'm doing this, okay? I'm doing this right. Anyway, it's this really cool thing because it's just this idea of the preservation of self and putting aside egoism for the sake of intersectionality and, like, a shared struggle, a shared civil rights struggle against this oppressive fascist imperialist force. And like, that's what I love about Transformers, you know what I mean? It's the idea that, yeah, we're the underdogs, but, like, they're robots in disguise. They can surprise you. I love the Mirage Glove. Obligatory "it's so bad" joke here.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
Sell me it. I'll fucking buy that. That was sick. It just looks cool. Like you don't even need to make it do anything. Make it go pew pew or whatever, and I'll fucking buy it. I don't care. I'll give you. I mean, you got to make it big enough for me to wear. I'll give you Voyager prices for it, Hasbro. Freezers. I thought of all of the terror cons in this movie, the freezers were going to be the ones that I didn't like, right? I'm fucking dumb, turns out. They were great. I loved that. Like, as replacement Sharkticons, I thought they were really cool designs, first off. Like, they harken back to the old, like, I guess Ravage or Rumble, whichever arbitrary Soundwave tape name they assigned to the knife guy from fucking the first Transformers movie. Like, they harken back to that sort of weird, angular, very, very thin, gaunt, metal, sharp knife boy, Michael Bay drone Transformer. But, they use them like they're fucking xenomorphs or something. Like, this movie really has a lot of scenes with them that remind me of, like, of The Descent and, fuck, what's that other one? I don't know. I'll just say Alien. Like, they give you that bug-like quality, you know? They're little fucking murder drones, and they're coming to get you. And the movie plays into that by, like, leaning into the idea that they're slasher monsters and, you know, having them, like, you catch a glimpse of them in the background of a scene, and they'll jump scare you with them. They have them chase people through vents and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, man. Like, why not? That would be horrifying if there was just a giant razor blade boy, a General Grievous made of X-Acto knives coming after me. Are you kidding? That would fuck me up. And, you know, it doesn't as an adult, but, like, as a kid, I could see myself getting more scared by that than, like, a fucking golf monster, you know? It was good. I liked it. I liked them a lot. And you get the idea of them being this overwhelming drone force, too, like the Sharkticons were, which I really enjoy. You know, there's that big, giant fight at the end that's fantastic, and they're just all over the place, and then Unicron just starts dropping more of them in seed pods, and it's like, oh my god, yeah, no, I mean, just, it's a complete war of attrition. They're just going to overwhelm with numbers, and it just works. It worked for me very well. I like this movie a lot. Really nice touch to have Scourge's, he's collecting Autobot emblems from all the people that he kills all movie, right? And, like, that's fun in and of itself, but then he turns into the truck, and all of the emblems are fucking plastered across his grill, like he ran them over, and I was like, oh, that's that next little piece of attention to detail that really just put this completely over the edge, you know? Like, that's clever, it's funny, it's dark, and I just love that shit. Speaking of Scourge, he is just having a fucking blast this entire movie. I don't know who they got to voice him. I'm just gonna say Fred Tatasciore. It's probably not him. But whoever it is, having an absolute thrill, and was an absolute thrill to be a part of. He really captures the camp appeal of Galvatron just being a fucking asshole all throughout season 3 of G1. Like, and Galvatron is probably my favorite of the Decepticon leaders. Like, I just think he's such a butt monkey. Like,
Now, Decepticons, learn the price of your disloyalty! Attack! Attack who?
he's such a douchebag, and he's completely off his rocker. Like, he can just really do anything in a given moment, and that's a really fun wild card to have on your side. I thought they made really good use of him. I thought his design was a lot better than it looked like on the Studio Series toy, so I was really surprised there. He's just great. What a great fucking villain. This is the first movie villain where I'm like, I really am tempted to get a figure of him. Having seen the studio figure, I'm kind of torn. I might wait for like a remake, but really fucking good dude. So like when Scourge tosses these little fucking spider tracer frisbees on you, you get corrupted, and that's represented by Rust, and we see that on Shatter, who's now Nightbird. We see that on Battletrap, who was Nightbird friend in Bumblebee. And we see it on Scourge, obviously, but we also see it on Airazor when she begins getting corrupted, and I really like that because aesthetically it's just a really cool metaphor in terms of robots, but simultaneously it's the idea that, you know, these people are selling out and losing faith in the struggle and beginning to turn on each other because of the effects of capitalism on their lives. Like her losing the battle to remain uncorroded is something that evokes parallels with Noah's brother's battle with sickle cell anemia, corroding his hands and rendering him unable to continue his fights, right, against Bowser. And I think that that's really cool because it never just comes right out and says, oh, this is like my little brother, I couldn't help him or anything, you know? It's just Optimus Primal fucking comes up and just hugs her to death. Ugh. Oh, that's sad. Sorry, I didn't think about it until just now. Like, he literally just holds her till she dies. And, like, then they mourn, and it's just this tragic thing. And, he says this shit about, like, what is it? Fucking, your sacrifice becomes our oath. You know, like, we're never gonna forget the idea of who you were. But we have to get rid of you because you're a part of the system that we reject, you know? And that's fucked up. You know, I've lost friends to fascism and stuff. And yeah, that hurts always, but not as much as fucking enduring it, you know? Not as much as selling yourself out. This movie has Optimus Primal make jokes about how alien archaeology theory is stupid, and I like that because of how much the previous movies have relied on that. Like, Stephen Cable just said, straight up, no, most of those were just brown people doing things, you know? Which I liked. I liked that a lot. The whole thing of Optimus being corrupted by power and his position as an authority figure over this small army, the way that Scourge is the leader of the two Terrorcons, right? I think that that's really interesting because that itself is also a parallel with Airazor's corrosion, and you know, he sees ultimately what his fate would be if he falls to Scourge's influence, which is that Optimus Primal will fucking break his back. And I think that that's a really interesting and poignant framing because, again, movie just doesn't say it. It's just trusting that you, the Transformers audience, are going to pick up on these frankly headier concepts than we usually see in the series. And I just really love how much faith this movie has in its audience, you know? This is the audience of a Saturday morning children's show, and it doesn't condescend, it doesn't talk down to you, it doesn't make you feel inferior, because that's what fucking Scourge does. That's what Unicron does. It's this thing of activism and loss that I talked about in the Shin Kamen Rider review, you know, the acceptance that if you're in a war, especially as the underdogs, you're gonna fucking lose people. You might die, your friends might die, your lover might die, whatever. Your family might die. Like, your entire team might die, and your entire ideology might be wiped from society forever. And upon realizing this, Optimus finally says, you know, you fought for yours, and I fought for mine, when really we should have been fighting together. And, like, yeah, that's intersectional justice, baby. That's what we're ultimately aiming for. That's what we want society to be. Like, it's so... I don't want to say it's profound, right? Because we already know this. That's why I'm so excited to see it reflected in children's media. But, like, I think for kids, this is really good shit, dog. And frankly, for a bunch of the man children in the audience, this is also really good advice. It's that thing they've always said, you know, right from the beginning of the entire franchise. It's fucking, if we're gonna die fighting till all are one, right? And that's conflicted by Scourge, who outright says, no one will remember this planet, and no one will remember you. So, fucking Noah's brother, right? Mirage has just been killed. He's dead on top of fucking, Noah, and he's talking to his brother on the walkie-talkies, and they call each other Sonic and Tails, and it's very cute. But the kid has this whole, like, running thing of, like, you know, no real names on the air in reference to the walkie-talkies, but he fucking calls this dude out, and he calls his brother out by his name. He's giving him a pep talk. He's like, let me be there for you this time, you know, you can beat this. I know it's hopeless, but you can get up, and you can go kick Scourge's ass, right? And fucking, he says, let him know who you are. And I think that that's a really great counterpoint to the no one will remember you thing. And fucking Mirage isn't dead after all, it turns out. He's just been chilling. No, he's in bad condition. And he says, fucking take the wheel. And fucking, he fucking dimps up, and he does a fucking weaponizer or whatever. One of those cool dudes like fucking Red Cog, who splits apart into all the different pieces and just assembles himself on Noah, and he turns into a G.I. Joe suit. By the way, look at the dates here, okay? I called this. I called that they would have a G.I. Joe thing in this movie. We'll get to it. And fucking Noah stands up, and he and Optimus fucking lay in, and it's a really great fight. It's a really great fight. The bit where Scourge gets unmasked is really great. Like, there are so many beats of the action in this movie that I remember, and I know it's a general complaint amongst people that don't like the Bayverse movies that the action is all very hard to keep track of. This movie has so many beats that just stand out in my mind right now, hours later after I've been shopping for Transformers all day, that just stand out very fresh in my mind. And again, I can't wait to rewatch this a bunch of times. There's this scene where fucking Scourge has Optimus down on his knees, and he fucking grabs a monument behind him and just slams it into the back of his head. It's so good. It's so good. Pacific Rim shit. There's this bit where fucking Unicron is like, I can give you everything you want, and Optimus goes, then die, and fucking blows him up. I'm not a fan of bloodthirsty Optimus, but like, this was the version I will take, you know? Like, he killed that line, I'll tell you that much. And ultimately it just ends on this beautiful idea that it's a unification of ideals, not a system of order. You know, it's not Noah having to defer to Optimus. It's not Optimus having to defer to Noah. Optimus Primal doesn't have to defer to fucking anybody. He's Big Monkey, right? He's the king. And I think that that's a really healthy compromise. I think that it acknowledges that there are different struggles that these two groups are going to be facing, but that they're going to be facing them much stronger together, you know? And they're going to be facing each of those systemic issues separately, because capitalism tears itself apart, whereas socialism is all about people coming together to attend to each other and to help each other out when they need it. So, like, how the fuck did that happen in a Hasbro movie made to sell toys to kids? I'm just like, I walked out of the theater and I was blown away, and I'm sitting here and I'm talking about it more, and I'm just more and more impressed by the things that this movie accomplished. I think it has fantastic direction. I think it has beautiful cinematography. I think it has incredible action sequences. I think the performances are just across the board, out of the park. There are a couple of characters who don't get a lot to do. Cheetor, Rhinox, the plane guy. But, like, it doesn't matter, because they have so much presence. Wheeljack was the other one. But they have so much presence on screen in the time that they are on screen that you get a feel for them. They don't feel extraneous. They feel like reinforcements. They feel like old friends that have just shown up to help their new friends that we're just meeting, that just crash landed on the Earth like a decade ago. It feels very lived in and natural and organic. Because they're the animal ones. But overall, I had a blast with it, and I walked away with a lot to think about, which I really wasn't expecting from a Transformers movie, and honestly, that's on me, because I walked out of Bumblebee the same way. If you liked Bumblebee, I think you'll like this one as well. I have seen people who liked Bumblebee who didn't, so who knows, but hey, give it a shot if you're interested. I hope that this has been worth your time. Anyway, I already recommended it at the start of the video, and my feelings haven't changed by the end. In fact, I've become surprised by how much I loved this movie. Again, I really can't wait to own a copy. Not like even for the sake of like analyzing it, but just because like it made me happy to watch it, and that's really what I want from Transformers. Thank you for watching, as always. We have links to support the channel below. If you liked the video, like, sub, comment, share, do whatever you'd like. What did you think of Rise of the Beasts? You know, I'm trying to get more into Transformers, so like I'd like to sort of get more of an idea of how the community feels about this sort of stuff. Yeah, I think that's pretty much gonna do it for me. Thank you, as always, to our patrons who basically paid for my ticket tonight, so clap for them, please. They're the entire reason that you have content right now. And of course, if you'd like to become one, then, you know. I did do a little shopping. I found this battleship, right? It's Shoto scale, so I do actually have some Shotos. I should be able to use this, but worst case scenario, it'll be great for Guy in like background shots. I'm gonna go film cartoons. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Tim Shields, and when it comes to Tokusatsu, I'm your guy.